Okay, we're going to continue on in the Apocrypha. This is the second book of Esdras, chapter 12, verse 10. And this is the meaning of the vision that you have seen. As for the eagle that you saw rising from the sea, it is the fourth kingdom that appeared in a vision to your brother Daniel. But it was not explained to him as I now explain it to you or have explained it. Behold, the days are coming when a kingdom will rise on the earth, and it will be more terrible than all the kingdoms that were before it. Moreover, 12 kings will reign over it, one after another. But the second who is to reign will rule longer than the 12. This is the meaning of the 12 wings that you saw. And as for your hearing a voice that spoke, that came not from his head, but from the middle of his body, this is the meaning. In the midst of the time of the kingdom, no small struggles will arise, and it will be in danger of falling. But it will not fall then, but will regain its former power. And as for your seeing 8 additional wings springing from his wings, this is the meanings. For 8 kings will rise in it, whose times will be short and whose years will be fleeting. And 2 of them will fall when the middle of its time draws near. But 4 will be preserved for the time when the time of its end begins to approach. But 2 will be kept until the end. And as for your seeing the 3 heads resting, this is the meanings. In the last days the Most High will rise up 3 kings, and they will renew many things in it, and will distress the earth and those who live in it with greater oppression than all who were before them. That is why they are called the eagle's heads. For it is they that will bring his wickedness to a head, and will bring him to his end. And as for your seeing the greater head disappear, one of them will die in his bed, but in torment. But as for the 2 who were left, the sword will devour them. For the sword of one of them will devour the one who was with him, but he too will fall by the sword in the last days. And as for your seeing 2 additional wings crossing over to the head on the right side, this is the meanings. It is these that the Most High has kept for the eagle's end. For their reign was short and full of disturbance, as you saw. And as for the lion that you saw roused roaring out of the forest, and speaking to the eagle, and rebuking him for his wickedness and all his words that you have heard, he is the anointed one, whom the Most High has kept until the end of days, who will spring from the posterity of David and come and talk with them. He will charge them with the ungodliness and to rebuke them for their wickedness, and reproach them to their faces with their transgressions. For first he will set them alive before his judgment seat. And when he has rebuked them, he will destroy them. But my people who remain, he will mercifully set free, who remain in my borders, and he will make them glad until the end comes, the day of judgment, of which I have told you at the beginning. This is the dream that you had, and this is the meaning. But you alone were worthy to know the secret of the Most High. So write all that you have seen in a book, and put it in a secret place, and teach them to the wise among your people, and whose hearts you know can receive and keep these secrets. But you must stay here 7 days more, so that you may be shown whatever it pleases the Most High to show you. Then he departed from me, And it came about that when all the people had heard that the 7 days had passed and I had not returned to the city, they all gathered together, from the least to the greatest, and came to me and spoke to me, saying, How have we sinned against you? And what harm have we done you, that you have entirely abandoned us, and stay in this place? For of all the prophets, you alone are left to us, like a grape cluster out of the vintage, and like a lamp in a dark place, and like a safe harbor for a ship in a storm. Are not the evils that have befallen us enough? So if you've abandoned us, how much better it would have been for us if we too had been burning in the burning of Zion. For we are no better than those who died there. And they wept aloud. And I answered them and said, Have courage, Israel, and do not be sorrowful, you house of Jacob. For you are remembered before the Most High, and the Mighty One will never forget you. For I have not abandoned you or withdrawn from you, but I came to this place to pray over the desolation of Zion and to ask for mercy in the view of the degradation of our sanctuary. And now go home, every one of you, and when these days are over, I will come to you. And the people went back to the city as I told them to do. But I stayed in the field for 7 more days, as he had commanded me, and I ate only of the flowers of the field. My food was vegetables in those days. And it came about 7 days that in the night I dreamed a dream, and behold, a wind arose from the sea, so that it stirred up all its waves. And I looked, and behold, the wind brought out of the heart of the sea something like the figure of a man. And this man flew with the clouds of heaven. And whenever he turned his face to look, everything that was seen by him trembled. And wherever the voice went from his mouth, all who heard his voice melted, as wax melts when it feels the fire. And after that I looked, and behold, an innumerable multitude of men was gathered together from the 4 winds of heaven to make war upon the man who had come up out of the sea. And I looked, and behold, he carved himself out a great mountain, and flew up upon it. But I sought to see the region, or the place from which the mountain had been carved, and I could not. And after that I looked, and behold, all who had gathered together against him to fight with him were much afraid, but dared to fight. And behold, when he saw the onset of the multitude that approached, he did not raise his hand or hold a sword or any weapon of war, but I saw only how he sent out of his mouth what looked like a flood of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and from his tongue he sent forth a storm of sparks. These were all mixed together, the flood of fire, the flaming breath, the mighty storm, and it fell upon the onset of the multitude, which was ready to fight, and burned them all up, so that suddenly there was nothing to be seen of the countless multitude, but the dust of their ashes and the smell of smoke. When I saw it, I was amazed. Afterward I saw this man came down from the mountains, and called to him another multitude that was peaceable. Then many people came to him, some joyful, some sorrowful, some in fetters, and some bringing offerings. Then in an excess of fear I awoke, and besought the Most High, and said, You have shown your slave these wonders from the beginning, and have thought me worthy to have my prayer heard by you. Now show me further the meaning of this dream. For as I think of it in my mind, alas, for those who will be left in those days, and alas, much more